Hey, Cortavius here. It's another month. It's another fusion. We have Granyt Doorkeep on tap for this one. Mixed reviews on him I've seen on people who want to go for him or not. I will go through the fusion calendar. I will talk about the champ and whether I think he's worth going for. Kind of take a quick gander at to the epic and rare because I think the rare is worth mentioning. Hey, sorry for the spotty videos. I've had some personal health issues, been in the hospital 3 of the last 4 days, took an ambulance ride, so it's been kind of an exciting little time for me. Hopefully I'm on the path to healing here. That's what the doctors tell me. A little skeptical, so we'll see. But let's get into the fusion. All right, so quick thing on requirements. You probably need about 1,000 gems minimum to do these. You need about 20 million silver coming into it, and then just use your silver in the gear enhancements only. Don't use it outside of that, and make sure you're selling the stuff you don't need along the way, and you can make it through it with that much silver. Certainly, if you have more, that helps. And then for potions, I'll put that up on the screen here. But you need force potions, you need 0 lessers, 80 greater, and 24 superior. For voids, you need 160 lesser, 64 greaters, and 0 superior. And for arcanes, 80, 108, and 12. And be careful with the void lessers. If you're an end gamer like me and you don't really farm potion keeps because you get enough through the game and you make broad mouths for champ chases, I run out of void lessers. So I've had to farm lower stages of the void keep to get potions. And so and those only come up on Saturday the 27th here and or Sunday, depending where you're at. Saturday the 4th, the void keep opens for my time zone. So you got 2 weekends in which to get those void lessers or graders if you need them. So pay attention to the void keep when it opens.
Hey, before we go on, click the link in the description right now and you can get the great legendary poisoner, Narma, along with 3 epics. You get Anax, Mausoleum Mage, and the best epic in the game, Uugo, as you progress. All you have to do is follow 4 steps. Step 1, log out Play and Play on the PC and uninstall. Step 2, click the link in the description and register with a brand new email. Step 3, launch raid, complete the tutorial. And step 4, go to your inbox, Narma's there waiting. These 4 free champions will give you an insane head start in raid, so click on that link before it expires.
All right, so let's get into the calendar itself. We have Gear Hunters, which they've aptly now renamed. For years, people have been complaining that Dungeon Divers doesn't include all the dungeons. Well, you knew they weren't going to add the dungeons into Dungeon Divers, so they renamed it to Gear Hunters to solve the problem. So you have Gear Hunters 1, which starts today, actually. Well, by the time you see this video, it's probably tomorrow. But you've got Fire Knight, and you have Dungeon Divers, Gear Hunters Event 1 to start the first day. And you've got CVC on Tuesday, Wednesday. So you can basically run Fire Knight, finish the Gear Hunters, and get it done because Dragons doesn't start until Gear Hunters ends. So I would then take a break because Gear Hunters Event 2 doesn't start until the weekend. So you've got Gear Hunters Event 2 here. Well, I would do Dragon during Gear Hunters Event 2, and I would do champ training during Gear Hunters Event 2. So really, you finish CVC, and I think you get a couple days off. You know, you can do some champ training through the tavern if you do that way. I tend to do mine through dungeons and campaigns, so I get my Gear Hunters event points. So I would do those in here, and I'll probably finish off Gear Hunters Event 2 doing those 2 events. In which case, Gear Hunters Event 3 down here, I'll do with Ice Golem in that time period and Spiders and champ training. So honestly, I'll probably max out this Gear Hunters Event 3 between those 3 events out here. So I think the Gear Hunters events are well laid out with the dungeons, with the exception of the first one. You're going to have to burn some points, but it is CVC at least, so there's a reason to do that if you do CVC. So that's kind of the dungeons events. And then you have Gear Enhancement 1 to drain some silver, Gear Enhancement 2 to drain some more silver, and Gear Enhancement 3 to suck whatever you had left. Thankfully, without the free gear swaps, maybe silver is easier to get these days. And then you've got Classic Arena 1 and Classic Arena 2. Those are easy. Just do your battles. You could have one-man defenses and Classic Arenas in. There's usually plenty of winnable fights at every level. You can even do that from bronze. And then that leaves us with the summon events. So we have Summon Rush for shards here. You're usually talking like 6 sacreds to get the rare, and then kind of 4 to 6 more here, I'd say. I think this epic is good. I think the champ has mixed reviews. The last 2 fusions, they've done light points requirements. So it wouldn't surprise me if this is 5 sacreds more, but I don't know. We'll just have to see what they do. Sometimes when it's an epic, they price it higher. So We'll just have to see what they do. I'll pay attention to that and see if I want to pick up the epic. I like the epic, but we'll talk about why you might not want to do the fusion, why you might want to save some shards. So you have to decide whether burning the resources is worth getting this extra epic. But if you have the shards, it allows you to skip the champ chase and skip 3 other events, or it allows you to get the extra epic and still get the champ. So you have some flexibility with the epic. Now, you will be able to fuse 3 of the epics to get the champ chase points here. So just keep that in mind. There's 750 champ chase points available just from fusing the 3 epics. In the past, they've baked those into the point requirements and made them higher. And then in the past, they've also not done that. So do not fuse the epics if you're going to do the champ chase, because you don't know what they'll do. And either way, it's 750 points. So do your champ training here to get your rares up to level 40. And then in this champ training event here, make sure you got, I guess you'll have 16, 15, 14 rares, at least up to 15 of them to get everything but the champ chase. So you can get 15 rares up to level 40 in this champ training. You can fuse the 3 epics and get 3 epics up to level 50, all in the champ training event. So that's a great way to get champ training points. And then really you could finish the fusion then. Now you'll have the champ chase at that point, but you could still get an extra 250 points for the 4th epic for whatever extra milestone rewards are in the champ chase. Technically, you could fuse the champ, but recognize this will be Siege and this will be CVC out here, and the calendar's still open. So you can pull the champ in CVC and get, is that going to be like 30,000 points for the, I think it's like 30,000 CVC points here. So, pull the, save the champ, but pull him during CVC. Don't forget to pull him, though. It's a fusion. If you do not pull him during the champ chase to get 500 points, or pull him in CVC to get 30,000 points, choose your path. Either one, though. Do one, because if you don't, you lose the champ and he's gone forever. So fusion dies, ends. It's not a fragment. It's a fusion. So that's really the fusion calendar. I think that's pretty plain, pretty simple. It's a pretty straightforward calendar, and you've got choices. So let's talk about the champ itself, because that does impact whether you think the summon rush is worth it or whether you think the entire fusion is worth it. I'm not going to read his whole kit to you. I feel like that's something you can do, and you've probably seen other videos and you can read about it. But the short story on him is he does have a passive that clears, the crowd control stuff from him. He does have an A3, which hits really hard, particularly if they're not in Stone Skin. And if they're in Stone Skin, then he ignores that and can hit hard. Not as super hard, but hard. And he puts a shatter buff on all the allies, so he increases your team's damage, and he can do some damage. He's got an AoE, which is crap for attack, but for damage, but it does do decreased defense and block buffs. And his A1, he can remove buffs and hit 3 times and hits hard. So his A1 and his A3 hit hard. His A2 does not. But if you view him as a nuker, you're disappointed. If you view him as a debuffer who can do a little more damage than your normal debuffer in PvE, he does that. And for PvP, he can actually do some good work as a spirit affinity HP-based champ, so he's hard to kill in PvP. Now, Spirit Affinity can be a weakness in PvP because there's a lot of magic enemies out there, and HP-based nukers don't hit as hard. So if you're using him as your primary nuker, maybe he doesn't work as well. But I've seen him on the test server where that A3 can really smack, particularly if they don't have Stone Skin or a Stone Skin squishy champ. He's not going to take out a Galathyr in Stone Skin or a Marichka in Stone Skin, but he can take out others. So I thought he was pretty doable for PvP. So why would you go for him? I think if you have a progressed account and plenty of resources like both my accounts, getting a fusion for me is not hard. I can do it easy on both. I have the shards. I stockpile them. I don't use them when I don't need them on either account. So I got tons of shards. I always do. I save them up until I have tons, and I don't use them unless I need them. I save too many of them would be the argument people tell me, and they're probably right. But I have plenty, and I have plenty of resources. So for me, why not? I can just pick them up and add them to the account, even if I don't plan to use them. And on the free-to-play, he might be helpful. More helpful than the main. For some counts, it's just not a big resource draw. The second need I think you could use them for if you're a progressing account. Having a champ that brings increased crit rate as a aura, then brings increased accuracy and increased crit damage and shatter buff, so you ignore 15%. he'll make the rest of your team do more damage. So he can help as a support debuffer. That's a lot of support for a Progressian account, and he can do some damage as well. So that's a pretty useful champ for a Progressian account, I think. So for Progressian accounts who could use some help, I think he's a useful legendary. So hard faction wars would be the third reason you would use him. Adding another dwarf who can help and take out champs, get extra turns, bring debuffs, bring block buffs, bring increased accuracy, do some nice A1 hits, can't be controlled. He can be very useful in hard faction wars, or if you don't have Lydia yet, he's certainly a nice solution to bring into dwarves normal faction wars. Cursed City, there will be certain stages where he's helpful in Cursed City, so you could use him for that. Hydra, I definitely saw both Scratch and Nubs had videos out there where they swapped out Uugo and put him in, and the teams did about 100 million more damage in Hydra. So you can certainly use him in Hydra then as a... he basically replaces Uugo with the block buffs, decreased defense, but he also brings increased accuracy, and he allows your team to do more damage with the Shatter debuff. That makes him more useful than Uugo, except Uugo does bring healing if you needed that. Chimera Trials with the increased accuracy on there, and then the increased crit damage. There are trials in Chimera that he can help with. Faction Guardians is always cited. Hey, it's a dwarf legendary you can add that will help you increase your Faction Guardians. And then in Arena, I thought he was a fairly effective Spirit Nuker, as I mentioned. He's got the strong single target attack and gets a weak AoE as an extra turn. It's on a 4-turn cooldown, unfortunately. So I think those are the reasons you go for him. I think reasons you would skip is you say you're fatigued and you don't want to spend more time on the fusion. You'd just rather do something else in the game and, hey, let's go do Minotaur. Let's go build some other champs that you have in the game. Those are other things you can do, right? I got a lot of champs in the roster I could go spend time on instead, right? If you're low on resources, you're not sitting there with 2.4 billion silver. You don't have 230,000, gems that you can use, and you're short on resources. You don't have the shards that I have. In that case, hey, I think he is a skippable fusion. You could decide that this isn't the Newts of the world. This isn't an Armands. Yeah, I could live without him. I think you can live without him. So you could decide it's just not worth it. I said he is a direct replacement for Uugo. So I mentioned in Hydra, he does 100 million more damage in Uugo. Ugo's an epic. So you can book an epic, and you really just need to book the A2 and the A3, but you can build Uugo with epic books. Do you want to put the 10 legendary books into this champ just to upgrade your Uugo? I could see where you just say for Hydra, I'd rather build a second Uugo. So for Chimera, I said he can do trials in Chimera, but hopefully everybody's going to get Mikage. And Lady Mikage brings increased accuracy, and she brings increased crit damage on 2 different skills, but you can swap her over and get the increased accuracy. So Mikage brings the same 2 benefits to Chimera, and you don't need a second Chimera team. You can use the same Chimera team over. So, you could decide I don't need him for a Chimera. For Centranos, I said you could use them, but in a lot of Centranos stages that are hardest stages, they limit you to epics and rares, so he might not even be a champ you can use in Centranos. We don't know. So, and then the last one a lot of people are citing is, the Leonardo event's coming, so I'm going to save all my shards and all my soul stones for Leonardo. That might happen, and that might be a good move. I am somewhat skeptical myself that they're going to have this Deck of Fate Leonardo event, because if I looked at the Monster Hunter ones, was it? Whatever that last collab they didn't make all the champs 100% accessible. There were some you could only get through the progressives. And we just had the 2 times event on Voids with an extra chance to get Leo. That might have been the chance. I don't know for sure they're going to do a Leo event. But there are some people saying, hey, if that's coming, I'd rather have Leo than this guy, because Leo's the one time. Fair point. You know what? If Leo event's coming, which takes shards or souls, then I'd rather have Leo than this guy, because I can pull this guy from shards at another time someday, right? RNG chances out there. So that's a fair point. And if you have limited shards and you're choosing between whether you want to take this guy or not, or you just don't have enough and you want to build and get the next fusion, that's another fair thought process. So if you do skip, though, and you decide not to get him, then I would go get one of the epics, and I would get the rare. I think this is the best rare they've put out in the game in a long time. So you've got a triple hitter on the A1 with decreased speed, which is great for Fire Knight. You've got an AoE with a 50% chance to provoke, which books up to 75% chance for a rare. That's pretty good. 4-turn cooldown, unfortunately. That's a nice chance to get some provokes out there. And once I said, Curse City can limit you to epics and rares. Well, that's a rare. He might be useful in Curse City, and then certainly in Faction Wars too. And then a counterattack with a 50% ally protect. That's the big boy ally protect on a 3-turn cooldown with a counterattack on him, which once again brings up the triple hit or decreased speed on a rare. That's really good rare. I think that's really good. And decreases the damage when he's under for each ally under ally protect. So a little protection for the team. So I like the rare. Now, I know I'll get void rares like just like I get anything else on both my accounts, so I can't get an extra rare if I'm going to do the fusion, unless I pull the extra epic, but I'm sure I'll get them at some point. But if you're skipping the fusion, then I'd get myself 5 rares, make 1 epic, and then get the 5th rare. And remember, just go do the classic arenas and, pick up a little champ training or run a few dungeons. I mean, getting 5 rares out of 16 is real easy to do. So that's the fusion, that's the champ. That's kind of how I feel about it. So, hey, let me know below if you plan on doing this guy, if you plan on getting the extra epic or not, and if you plan on skipping or not. So just be interested to see what people's approaches are. And if there's anything in this video that you think I missed, people should know, let us know in the comments. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well out there, and have a great day.